Hi, it's 975. Welcome to Elite Dangerous on the Xbox. And today I've got a fun 3v3 fight that we had at the CG. This is DMPS versus TOC and Brown Nugget Mining. It was two mediums and a small on each side. It wasn't particularly fair sides because there were certain reasons, certain elements behind that. I was in my gimbal beam the Lance, which was, I believe, the only gimbal scrub build in the fight. Al's in his Plasmac Vulture with bioweaves, and Lord was in a pacifier crate. I'm not sure what he had on the mediums, but I know the bigs were all pacifiers. Sorry, large hard points. I'm not saying bigs. As for the other side, we had Pugnut in his very punchy crate Mark II, Garon in his crate Phantom, but Garon was running very low on shield cell banks at this point. We had all actually just come from fights, so nobody was like 100% fully fit with all ammo. We'd all be like derping around together. And then we have Selfish in a mine and missile Cobra. So Selfish didn't really get that involved because I don't think he wanted to drop too many mines around his guys. He was being very selective with his mine laying early on. So it wasn't a particularly fair wing fight. I think it went pretty much as expected, given that Garon had very few shield cell banks. The only modules I targeted was the first time I got Pugnut shields down, I did go after his FSD, because the FSD is quite easy to hit on the crate if you get the right angle on it, which I didn't this time. But you know, if you get the right angle, you can take out the FSD really quickly, and then that leaves them stuck with you. As for ramming Pugnut, that's probably not a good idea. But all in all, this was just quite a fun, silly fight, so I thought I'd bring it to you. Plus, something happened that kind of shocked me, so and is quite funny and caused a little bit of fun for me anyway, listening to some people complain about it. But yeah, I am the most toxic person on Xbox, and I have an intro clip coming up where we gank Devo, and there's some complaint about the fact I had crimes on. The thing is, I don't even know how I had crimes on, because I was wanted in this system and had bounties on me in this system, so it made absolutely no sense to me as to why I would be wanted in this system. However, lo and behold, I was, and that had a big impact on the fight as well by the end. You'll see. Selfish is getting shot by a lot of police as well. But all in all, it was a fun wing fight, even though it did get silly and out of hand, and supposedly that was my fault because I had crimes on, which I swear they were locked and I couldn't change it, so I don't know why they were suddenly on in this fight. Maybe, I don't know if I don't think I cleared the bounties, because I'd even check, like after this fight, I had a look and I've still got a bounty in this system. So it made absolutely no sense to me. I couldn't work out what was going on. But, you know, what can you do? Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it's silly. As I say, this was a fun fight. It was a tough fight. I rammed a lot of people, which was probably not a great idea because I've got a one and done shield, and in a wing fight you want to keep your shields as long as possible. But I was trying to do my best to keep Al alive as long as possible. We're trying to peel people off him and get them to focus on me. You know, keep as many guns as we had in the fight for as long as we've got them. That's generally the idea. That's why you try and get them to switch target to targeting you. I mean, the general idea in the wing fight is to keep as many guns in the fight as you can for as long as you can. So this is pretty much the way it goes in a wing fight. You're going to end up trading down, and if one side's got a particularly elusive pilot, then that's good. I don't know what I'm doing here. I was thinking about targeting the FSD, and I ended up clicking interdict because I went too far down the list, and I switched to drives even though we're going head on. So all completely pointless. I should have just stayed just shooting him, but wasted a bit of time while I'm messing around. As for me and Garon, me and him have fought a lot of times now, and yeah, it is quite funny because he hates the gimbal scrub build. TOC generally do really hate the gimbal scrub build. It is no skill and very easy to use. You're never going to get any respect being a gimbal scrub, I can tell you. I'm a pirate that doesn't really get bothered by being called the gimbal scrub. I call myself happily that. I never claim to be any good at PvP. I can hold my own with people that are decent. I can even use oddly small ships with fixed weapons, and I do have fun with fixed weapon builds sometimes. But I'm not going to sit there and build a meta FDL anytime soon, or try and build an all plasmac crate. I've tried. I mean, yeah, my accuracy with Plasmax is so appalling. It's just ridiculous. I should really go to the trouble of unlocking those plasma charges because they look like fun, and being the such good shot speed, they're much easier to hit with. So I am tempted by them. They would probably be a good addition to my arsenal of weaponry. But at the moment, I'm happy being a gimbal scrub. I output a decent amount of damage in this ship, and I'm a pain in the butt to deal with. I normally get focused first in fights because I'm the gimbal scrub. That's generally what happens. But this time, people targeted the other ships first, and I was the last one alive. But we were able to trade down a bit. Here's Gowron's view. I think Gowron posted his view of his death on Xbox and called it something like being ganked by the most toxic person in the game, or some such. I'm sure I'll tell you in the comments down below what exactly he titled it and exactly where to find it, because he does get a lot of views on his clips on Xbox. It's got to be said, he's got some of his clips on Xbox got ridiculous numbers of views. Yeah, but also I don't think it showed on his screen the amount of shadow rams that were going on. He thought I'd taken out his power plant because of the fact he died in that much hull. I think it was a shadow ram, but you know, see what you think. So I think it's now sort of, you know, Warlord's getting close to being taken out. I wasn't able to keep Gowron off of Al, so I go back to work on Pug, and the fight's trading down. And I think it's, you know, at this point I've noticed there was a ton of police around there not shooting me. I thought it was Gowron that had crimes on, and then like there I get a warning about system authority, and I'm like, system authority. So I thought that someone else had crimes on, and then I find out that I've got crimes on, which confused me because, like I say, I got a bounty in this system. So I'm completely shocked as to how I had crimes on when I had a bounty in the system and I was supposedly wanted. So I have no idea how all that happened. So I apologise to everyone involved. It was totally my bad. Though I'm not going to apologise for enjoying the salt of listening to certain people complain about having to fly back from detention centres, given how many times they've killed me with crimes on and made me fly back from detention centres, and my ships have way worse jump range than theirs because mine weigh a ton. So yeah, so I'm not feeling that sympathetic towards the people that ended up in detention over the fact that I accidentally had crimes on. And yeah, and though it feels dirty to win in such a bad manner and poor form, to have crimes on and win that way, considering who we were fighting and how often they've killed me with crimes and how many times I've brought you 1v1s with Gowron where I've got 8 cops shooting me, yeah, I think I'm going to take this victory and enjoy it for what it is. Yes, I'm a gimbal scrub, and yes, I'm proud of the fact I'm a gimbal scrub, but you know, I just wouldn't output anywhere near the damage I do in this ship in a fixed weapon build. Even though fixed weapon builds do more damage, I just wouldn't. And I wouldn't be so evasive when I'm 1v1 against FDLs if I was using the fixed beams. I can use the fixed beams against large ships, but I suck with them. Yeah, this always poses a problem to me what I do against a mine-laying Cobra. Like, I want to ram it, because I will do a lot of damage to it on the ram. But equally, I should be worrying about the mines. And those missiles, yeah, as soon as my shields go, those missiles will tear me a new one. So it's kind of a really awkward situation. But yeah, it was a fun 3v3. It was nice to see so many people down at the CG. There was 3 of us, 3 of, well, 2 of no, it was 3 of TSC, because Dan was here as well. And there was also Brown Nugget Mining, Rain. Yeah, I saw 3 Rain in system at one point. So there was a decent amount of commanders on. This was a fun, entertaining evening. We had quite a lot of fights. We pirated a good few people earlier in the evening, switched over to combat ships and had a good bit of fun. I say, this is always like a tough one. If you look at the amount of police that are shooting him as well, it's kind of unfair on Sourfish. But you know, like I say, I'm not going to feel that sympathetic about this because they've done this to me enough times. So yeah, I've used this one, and even though we win in a cheap way of using me having crimes on, it was an accident, but then I don't feel that bad about it because of who it was that the accident happened to. It's a bit of a difficult one, but those missiles, man, like, As soon as my shields go down, I knew those missiles would start just banging into me and like doing me tons of damage. But luckily for me, the beam enhance is fairly brutal, and it was quite fun to hear Selfish One complain about waking up in a detention center. And on the intro clip to a video I've got where we gank Devo, you'll hear Selfish One complaining again about having to fly back from detention. And my reaction to that voice clip was this. Don't feel too bad for Selfish. It was a long evening and he got his revenge. TOC got their revenge. I died several times. We had good fun fights, trading backwards and forwards, and it was all good fun. It was all GG's. Apart from there was some complaining about having to fly back from detention centers, but at least for once I didn't have to do that. So that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know how you got on at the CG.
One more.